but I'm not 100% certain since it's dust, right? We could have seen a choice of T side for Gambit youngsters as well. I wouldn't be
it's
too
not
surprised.
too big of a deal anyway, but I guess for LYNGBY Vikings, that little bit of extra comfort of just getting to decide for themselves would be nice.
Exactly. And just to kind of mention, yeah, like Ambush, I had the pleasure of casting them once or twice back in Home Sweet Home, but that was already like 2 months ago. So, you know, I'm not sure what to expect this time around. In any case, let's see the pistol as we kick it off with Gambit youngsters starting off on their T side, with Ral's already finding the entry. Cabby the second. This is looking pretty damn good currently for LYNGBY Vikings. Although, Exile will be able to respond with Shiro finding the second. That's a bomb drop on short though. Hold on. Gambit youngsters, they've divided themselves a little bit too much, and now a 2-on-3 ensues.
Yeah, tough recovery for the Gambit youngsters side. They are at least grouped up, and obviously with Glocks up close, it can be quite dangerous for the LYNGBY Vikings players as they close in the distance. And Shiro is just doing it all at the moment. He's gotten himself 3 kills already. He's given them the space to retrieve that bomb. And at this point, there's now left it all onto Twinks, already tagged up. Sure, he is the defuse kit, but I don't even know if it'll get to that point as the bomb. It will indeed be stopped on the cross. But Shiro, again, ready there for the trade. He hits the headshot, and he puts the first round here in favor of Gambit youngsters. They pick up the pistol on their T side, and we'll probably be going up against an eco. I guess we'll see what LYNGBY Vikings come in with. We might see the buy of the scouts and some deagles and such. It was a relatively close round. A little bit awkward though. As I said, it's not a great spot for the bomb to be dropped when you're facing up against Glocks and only have the USP as your USP as yourself, not USPs. What am I on about? USB wouldn't be a very effective weapon.
Hey,
well, yeah, cyber warfare.
That's true. Well, we'll see soon enough how it goes. It will be, but hold on. Bit of an early start for LYNGBY Vikings, only to lose 2 players almost immediately after. Cabby, I'm not even sure how to properly say that, is still going to be able to get 1. Actually, not even 1. That's typos that stole it away there. But Ral's, he's got a deagle. If he's going to be accurate enough, fast enough, yep, that's what I'm talking about. Finds himself 1. That's the bomb drop as Nafani's being caught on the corner. The second tag. Exile now in trouble. The corner being spotted where he's at. And Ral's. Now there's a minute on the clock he has to work with here. How does he work it? That's a different question. The bomb's still there and Ral's now knows. Okay. Having to deal with the man in pit might be a bit too difficult trying to jiggle peek him through long, and obviously a chance of an AK taking your head off is also a problem. Let's find out what's the game plan here for Exile, though. Being tagged as far as he is, he can't really risk going straight out for the challenge, right? Surely he knows that himself even. Oh, Ral's idea. Yep.
Headshot to be safe as well. Just like, I may as well get the overkill. Just in case, you know. But yeah, great round for LYNGBY Vikings to steal away. They had just done so much damage there in the beginning when Gambit youngsters were pushing out for the actual long control. Obviously, even Supra managing to get that kill seemed a little bit fortunate because I believe it was Supra anyway, was completely blinded up and managed to get the kind of MP9 spraying towards the long pit. And just overall great work from Ral's then to be able to close out to 1-on-2. Great patience as well, obviously being able to, for quite a while, just shoulder peek, keep the info about where that player was and play off of it. And now it's Gambit youngsters who are left coming in with a force buy, trying to get a little bit of revenge. They had Nafany try and face over towards long with his deagle in the beginning, hoping that they could find a quick open and a quick start here into this round. But unfortunately, all that really happens is Nafany gets tagged down fairly low, so his impact likely to be a little bit limited now for the rest of this round. But LYNGBY Vikings, a good opportunity. If they get this round, then going up against the Eco in the next, they'll be able to build themselves up a pretty solid early lead to bring themselves into this matchup, of course.
Absolutely, we could see the odds there previously by Lootbet as well, a few moments ago, favoring, of not LYNGBY Vikings, rather Gambit youngsters, as they should. Albeit, LYNGBY Vikings are putting up a better fight than Aves against Illuminar, which I think in essence we never expected to. Ral's though can open it up nicely. Twins finds the second, but the looks of it, Ral's will be able to clean the house here relatively easily. That should be 2-1. I mean, LYNGBY Vikings, this is a perfect start for them, given the circumstances they're in or were in. And given that this is Dust 2 we're talking about, Gambit youngsters very much, not, like I said, not necessarily their favorite map, as we already kind of discussed a little bit in the pre-game. they definitely have a few better ones, but Dust 2, historically looking at it, was one of their go-to maps in best of 3 series in general. So.
They play it a lot.
Yeah.
It's their most played map tied with Overpass, although it doesn't have anywhere near as strong a statistics as Overpass does.
Yeah, exactly that.
On the other hand, obviously, LYNGBY Vikings have only played it a couple times, and they did actually win it once up against Heretics in their most recent performance, less than a month ago, even actually about 3 weeks ago. So that's a pretty impressive win to be able to get. It was 16-9 over in the DreamHack Open Summer, I believe it was. So yeah, that's a very impressive victory actually to be taken for themselves up against the lineup of Heretics, which is of course full of some very capable players. So I mean, even if you look at that, it could certainly bode well for them now coming into this one. But I think that's why GAMBIT youngsters chose this, just the kind of inexperience. They haven't played this map too many times out of the ones that they are seemingly willing to play on the LYNGBY Vikings side. This is probably, I would say, the best one to be pulled in by GAMBIT youngsters. But of course, for now anyway, only an eco. We're not expecting anything really to be found for them. Although they've gotten that one kill in mid, not bad at all from Super. If they can add one more frag to this, considering they haven't really bought anything up at all, that would definitely make this a worthwhile round, one that they could take a small victory from. And again, yeah, Super, he finds that trade.
Definitely good opener. LYNGBY Vikings will be able to keep themselves not necessarily too safe in terms of surviving members, but should be able to close it out here with fair success or without too much issue. As we do see, is going to be Shiro and Supra. But just what? P to 50? Or not even that block? Yeah, there we go. Shiro. There's really, you know, I'm kind of surprised they actually split in this instance, right? I mean, it's 2 players with Glocks. At least you would hope for them to group up and hit something together. But then again, it is as it is, and well, 3-1, LYNGBY Vikings. I did not expect them to be able to take the lead even. I gotta be honest, I had much less hope in LYNGBY Vikings than I had in Aves for that example, and we saw how Aves went down and how quickly they got blasted away. So let's see if perhaps GAMBIT youngsters will have to fight a little bit harder and a little bit harsher to get themselves any sort of advantage or even victory. As Nafani's out. The smoke is a dead giveaway. There's somebody there, though.
Ooh, the nades not doing quite as much damage as it looked like they were going to on the Nafani. Although the AK is going to be able to do plenty to actually follow it up and get the kill. And sadly, Nafani doesn't even manage to deal any damage out himself. Of course, though, the bomb site has been lost at least. So the bomb has been planted. The only issue is the long control still in the favor of LYNGBY Vikings. The problem being they don't have short, and they're limited to just having typos then coming up through the spawn, with even a flank, I believe, now being set up by Shiro. So this is going to be still quite a difficult retake for the CT side, despite the man advantage, rather. Trying to cross over. Typos, he takes that fight towards short as he had to, but is only able to get one before he falls. Twinks, he does return, and Cabby able to get one as well. Now Super's in so much trouble, somehow working around that smoke and managing to find both of the kills. The time was already so low that Twinks had no option other than to just hop on that bomb and hope that his teammate could ensure that he was going to be safe, but it wasn't successful.
The weird part was that majority of LYNGBY Vikings focused on towards A long, and they were focusing so much on the that it really bought time for GAMBIT youngsters to get onto site. And as you said, yeah, the 4 of them holding the line perfectly. And in this case, you know, LYNGBY Vikings, they cut it close. They bring it down to Supra only, and in the smoke he lurks, in the smoke he plays, and well, he succeeds in picking up the round. Gonna be the second here to GY. Already the entry though secured as Kabi will return. It's Nafani to be caught coming out middle. I'm not sure what's going on here. GAMBIT youngsters is playing a little bit wonky, a little bit chaotic, but they are able to catch on Twinks as he is caught jumping on through long. Oh, what is this second bad smoke? Oh my god, and that actually will cost them quite a little bit as well.
Yeah, dropping the bomb. It is retrieved, I believe, already. Indeed, yeah, Inters was able to pick it up, and the gap actually ends up working out in favor of Axile. Didn't follow up that second player, but will eventually do so once he gets another opportunity. And Typos this entire time has just been kind of left lurking in the spawn. He wasn't able to even peek out because of the smoke that was down. Known, obviously, the upper was on the angle. moving in still. I mean, he has two of these players dinked down, so it's achievable, but he's not even able to get past that first line of contact, which was the healthy player. If he had gotten that first kill on Axel, if the shot was missed, or if he was just quicker on the trigger, then it would have been a fairly winnable 1-on-2 of him, being honest. But it's not allowed. Gambit youngsters, they deal with it, and now they're going to be likely reclaiming the lead for themselves, because it is LYNGBY Vikings being forced onto the eco. Is there a few pistols maybe being upgraded, but I wouldn't imagine too much since they only get 2400 coming into this next round. Ideally, they do need to be keeping pretty much everything they have in the reserve.
Well, I mean, yeah, like you said, they shouldn't be able
Jesus,
to
that was quick.
anything. Yeah, I also, I'm kind of looking at the kill feed, you know, trying to bring up perhaps how the pistols might have an effect of getting a kill or two and maybe picking up a rifle and doing something with it. And then LYNGBY Vikings all of a sudden just get deleted off the servers.
They try to push in tunnels, I believe.
Exactly. And I'm just observing the kill feed. I was like, okay, I guess, you know, we... oh, excuse me. Oh, Lord, my throat getting parched. And then obviously, you know, Gambit Youngsters is just like, that's not going to happen. 4-3 as LYNGBY Vikings... After winning that second round forced by, you know, securing themselves a 3-1 lead, looking solid as all hell, and actually putting up a meaningful defense against whatever Gambit threw at them. Right now, being in a bit of a weird spot, economically speaking. It's a very tough
I wouldn't mind.
position.
I wouldn't have minded pistols Kevlar here just to make sure they get everything in the following round, like nades and ops and such. But they're going for it. It makes sense. You don't want to be giving away too much of a lead. It would have been a very safe approach that I was recommending, and they want to just do it here and now. And they know they're capable. I mean, when they did have the guns out previously, they were overall very successful. It really was some big plays individually from Gambit youngsters coming in that were able to pull back some of those more dire situations, and with that have put them in towards this spot now where they've got their lead back. The only thing is, LYNGBY Vikings, if they lose this, then they are in quite a bit of trouble. At that point would likely go down 6-3. But they don't want to let that happen. Twinks gets flashed in towards short. He gets flashed on short as well, quite literally by his teammate. But he still finds that kill. And at this point, I was going to say, should really just be backing away and conceding that control, perhaps. Although instead is called in for some assistance. Actually himself having fell back and allowing for Bird from Sky and Ralds to go ahead and control that area instead. Oh, the run boost. Twinks, either way, should know there could be a player in this position, so as you can see, not going to be peeking it. But that could have been it could have been a great way to pick up the opening frag, but not for now anyway. The 4-on-5 still here for Gambit youngsters to try and recover, and for now the bomb's still all the way back on long itself, so they will need to retrieve that before they actually move forward. But it seems like pretty soon they are going to have the opportunity to pounce, because these two players on short are going to be completely surrounded. Both short and long control having been lost. It is just pretty much impossible to hold.
Yeah, it is definitely a little bit dangerous to be playing it like that. LYNGBY Vikings leaving themselves in the corner, not really giving themselves an exit strategy. And in this case, it's going to be Typos and Cabby to try and salvage whatever remains of the round itself. And as you said, the economy not really too perfect. Would have been perhaps a bit more prudent to keep up with the pistol buy-up or something of the like. The boost in CT will be revealed, but Cabby gets the kill. That's perfect. Now it gives them a chance to play this round and potentially salvage it. Although Exile from Car is able to still find himself one, but Typos turns around. An instant headshot as Intis gets absolutely obliterated and deleted from the server. It is going to be Gambit youngsters that have to take the L in this case. Once again, LYNGBY Vikings deliver in the most unforeseen of fashions as Typos saves the day. And well, 4-4, we are back to, you know, switching places out. This is a lot closer, and generally speaking, you know, when you look at the rounds themselves, right, unless it's an eco, obviously, the gun rounds are pretty close. I mean, for the most part, Gambit youngsters have struggled to win them. Even when they go into an afterplant, even when they secure a site without too many losses, they do come down to one or two players surviving, which is just kind of scary, really, to consider.
Yeah, no, the rounds that these teams have won on both sides, I would say, certainly have not been convincing. But yeah, it's been kind of surprising, especially over towards A, how good LYNGBY Vikings have been doing with those retakes. Obviously, not all of them going their way. There was even the situation where it came down to the 1-on-2, and they ended up just having to try and stick the bomb. But in general, the fact that they're able to always move in, they're trading out effectively and such, it is a good sign. What's not a good sign is Bird from Sky just being, well, I guess being shot out of the sky here early on in this round. No flight left under his wings, and you're going to have to hope the rest of his teammates can pick up that slack now, because if they lose this round, their economy is in... It's absolutely shattered. It is in pieces at that point, and yeah, they realize obviously how important this round is. Typos pushes up in tunnels, gets the upgrade to the AK, but most importantly gets a lot of info now so that they can, if they want, rotate over. But they're not going to be yet, so that's very risky. It relies on both of these A players to step up, but that's what we're seeing from them. Damn. Twinks and Rals, most importantly, Rals shutting down that long side to allow for, of course, Twinks to have somewhere to fall back to.
No, it does not prevent GAMBIT youngsters from planting still. 2v4. Gonna be a difficult round for them, yes, but not impossible one. If Shiro is able to hold to short, and he has a Molotov as well on him, with Nafani, of course, being the crucial element of survival here for the round itself, he needs to make sure he does not get snapped before they're able to single out a few players. And, well, Nafani taking out Twinks, taking out the second as well. That's what I'm talking about. It's a 2-on-4 that is made for these two, man, for this duo. Shiro and Nafani, the IGL and the op. And obviously one of the more skilled players, Shiro, on the whole team.
Nafani's up there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, as an IGL, he's also one of the rare IGLs that performs beyond belief, even when he's having to come and traverse through very hard times with his squad. You know,
yeah,
IGLing and all that, and putting up 30 bombs is definitely unusual to see.
And being pretty consistent with it as well, being able to always contribute. You never really necessarily see him having a bad game, I wouldn't say. I don't think there's much to be said about really any of the players on GAMBIT youngsters lacking. They are maybe a little bit of a still inexperienced team, although they've been quickly grinding out those tournaments and gaining plenty of experience with it. Having been a roster now for a little while and having impressive results overall as well. But yeah, that previous round, the fact that GAMBIT youngsters again were able to pull that back, I had mentioned it only, I think it was at 3-3. I'd mentioned at that point that it was GAMBIT youngsters having to pull back a lot of these rounds that were left in dire situations, and that trend did continue. But now they're being given a little bit of a chance to try and make up for those ones, because they are just up against pistols, as you can see. There's really no investment here. Just a couple of flashes. They're going to try and fight over towards long. So this could still be dangerous for sure for GAMBIT youngsters. But their goal is to keep, ideally, all of their players alive, if not 4, which is now the most that they actually can keep alive. And it's what they will. All 5 players on long for LYNGBY Vikings. They only get the 1 kill, unfortunately. 1 more, they would have been feeling happy.
Yeah, 1 more would have been the cake on top, because if they're able to immediately take out Exile, in that case also prevent, I believe it was Supra coming out, and then Exile, of course, if he was taken out as he tried to have the crossfire set, with 2 frags in and still having a few surviving members, you can definitely snowball the effect of those frags. Unfortunately, nothing of the like happened, and they're having to deal with a very messy economy of their own. There's a single kit, and up on Twinks, which will help out a little bit. Shiro getting caught, that's a great start to begin with, though GAMBIT youngsters, interestingly, they've relinquished complete control of the map in favor of this B hit, although they seem to be just faking it out. Weird decisions again. GAMBIT youngsters definitely making a few questionable choices under the circumstances in this sense. Losing Shiro and then with all 5 being in upper, not doing anything with that. And we can see that they're going to be going back to an old reverting default, trying to take map control, trying to build themselves a bit of space they can work with. Already denied though, as Exile gets caught in the middle as well. GAMBIT youngsters, again, surprising that they actually push in towards upper brown halls and not actually commit, or excuse me, into upper halls and not commit towards the B side. Even then, after losing Shiro, they had an option. Either immediately revert back to default, make sure you control mid, control short, control long, and choose one of the 3, I guess, where you want to pressure to, or just commit to B and see where it leads you to. Instead, they just kind of traverse across the map and go into a one-on-one duel everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a weird one from GAMBIT youngsters, but We've seen them already recover a couple of these weaker positions, so I don't want to count them out completely, but really, as I say that, it just keeps on getting worse and worse for them. One player trying to sell a bit of a fake over towards long, I guess, just because of the fact that they had shown the initial B aggression. Perhaps they were thinking that one player just showing himself on long would be like, okay, yeah, they were just faking B initially, and then perhaps those two B players could have popped out. But no, even before the long player came out, of course, there was already a couple pushing forward on B. So I don't know exactly what the plan was there. I'm not going to lie, that was really weird.
Yeah, it's just kind of weirded me out a little bit, I won't lie. And well, it is going to be a lot of long presence by LYNGBY Vikings. They're going to be putting the effort in to make sure they hold the line here, as they should. And we spoke about this, we kind of painted the picture previously, how if you want to go for an A retake, you need two positions to be in your hands. Either be it short and long, either be it CT and long or short. You know, one of the two out of the three has to be within your hands to succeed on a retake. And it's so much harder if you only have CT and long, for example, because if you have to deal with short without utility, you leave yourself very vulnerable. And in this case, LYNGBY Vikings, we can see they're taking a bit of a conservative approach to the round itself. With a minute on the clock, they're having the op on Twinks. They're playing very defensively towards A through Goose. And being faked to make it look like this is an actual A attempt. Instead, it's actually going to be a B hit behind all of it. Nafani and CT. Super already finding one. That's typos through the smoke, even the spray down. Cabby behind the side. Yeah, he was just spotted. Zintez takes his head off. And just like that, the round is gone almost immediately.
Yeah, this one's done. There's absolutely zero chance of LYNGBY Vikings even attempting this retake. Saving their weapons, it'll give them enough to be able to get the buyback in this following round with the drops coming over, so we'll see if they will be able to, because you can see, I think GAMBIT youngsters have the same read. They know that the economy isn't too fantastic for the CT side, and that even taking one of these weapons away could impact what they're going to have coming into the following. And with that, potentially give GAMBIT youngsters, of course, a bit of an easier chance to try and actually chain together the rounds, which at the moment, LYNGBY Vikings are really struggling with. Sure, they're keeping a lot of these close, but they really haven't been successful in pulling together a couple here on the CT side, at least since the initial three.
Yeah, it's been a bit wonky, it's been a bit shaky. Now, with the three surviving members, at least they can reinvest and put up another meaningful fight, though, as we said, their conservative defense didn't really work out as well as they had hoped. And in that sense, they'll have to open up a little bit more. And maybe not in the verse or in the term of just going for aggressive peaks, but rather than that, try and control a few angles a bit better. In any case, split by GAMBIT youngsters, a default by them, pretty classic. This is what you usually see. Now, the difference being that you have a few nades being thrown on short if in case you want to go for it. No, Nafani. The support of Exiles flash blinds Twinks, and the op cannot get out of there in time. And all of a sudden, LYNGBY Vikings, they are in dire trouble. They lose one of their more valuable players in this sense.
Yeah, that's a hole in the ship that these Vikings are going to need to try and repair with pretty much brute force, I would imagine, at this point. That's going to have to be the approach. I like this. They love this short flash. The only issue is a good setup from GAMBIT youngsters with a player on Xbox ready pretty much to play the anti-flash. So they do follow up with the trade. Rals, he attempts to come in and salvage something from that situation. But no, Nafani, he says, I am not going to allow that. They end it quickly. And yeah, 8-5. This is spiraling kind of out of control right now after what was actually a really good start for the Danes. They had gone up 3-1. They were able to keep it relatively then convincing and close, even though some rounds were going the way of GAMBIT youngsters. But it seems like now at this point the GAMBIT youngsters boys have managed to get a bit of a firmer hold on the matchup for themselves. They've also even built up that economy to ensure that they have enough, of course, for the final round if they do end up losing this one. So LYNGBY Vikings, they're in a tough spot, and they've decided that they want to try and just fight for the 6th round. They're going to take the eco here. Pistols, Kevlar, and SMG from Bird from Sky, but that's it. Is his full name actually Bird from Sky? It is, but is there like a shorthand for it?
BFS?
BFS? Yeah, maybe.
We can use BFS.
I'll call him Bird, maybe.
Bird, yeah, Bird might not
I'm gonna slow it down. That it's too many syllables in Bird
what
from
about
Sky.
Sky? Maybe call him Sky. Yeah.
I don't know if he'd like that. It's the last part of his name.
I mean, the best part of his name. It's like,
What's wrong with birds?
They can crap on you.
Anyone can grab on you.
When you put it like that, that's true. Actually, yeah, that's true. I mean, birds are nice, you know, if they're not too loud in the morning when you go to bed.
Well, I want this bird to be loud right now because he's got the only non-pistol they have.
Yeah, he needs to be tweeting as much as he can.
What he's got is he initially had a follower over there in tunnels, but he's backed away now. It's actually he himself that backed away. Bird is going to be moving around towards A, which makes sense with the amount of pressure that they're feeling on long at the moment. And yeah, Twinks, the fact that he even gets one kill from that position is massive. They probably won't expect a second player now tucked in against the wall.
And Bird has the flash as well he can use here to bounce it off the wall in towards CT. And he can blind his opponents relatively easily, especially now with the smoke up. There's definitely a chance. Here comes the flash, though. They are ready for it. They hear the click. And they turn the anti-flash against, of course, the attempt. LYNGBY Vikings, they'll have to concede this round as well. 9-5 is what they're looking for. And unfortunately, not the tournament, but the outlook of the first half, looking like it's potentially 10-5 or maybe 9-6, depending if the gun round right here, right now, with a double up coming out, will be successful or not. A single kit. A little bit of utility on the majority of the players, so it's not as bad. But this is, as you said, the starting point's so good. They really started off very well. LYNGBY Vikings picking themselves up for the first 5. You know, it's all good, all pristine, but it seems like they've lost control completely of themselves and just unable to go up against any sort of duel of GAMBIT youngsters.
If they get to 6th round, I would say they're still in an alright spot, but it's not going to be easy. And we're seeing the switch up from GAMBIT youngsters, just a straight up B rush right now. We actually see the opening kill still going in favor of LYNGBY Vikings, though, and the entire time, Typos has just been hiding in behind that smoke on the bomb site. This was such a weird push for GAMBIT youngsters. Sure, they pushed out, but they didn't go onto the bomb site itself. Yeah. They got stagnated. They had a player running towards car and just hide, for example, and with that obviously just allowing for pretty much everyone on the CT side to be able to react and set themselves up. So everyone's here. By the time the bomb gets planted, there is 3 CTs already in position to move forward. 2 of them just about getting ready in towards tunnels, as you can see. I like the idea. If they actually had pushed out mid here and got themselves to control, that would have been absolutely perfect just to take the fight against the one man. But at this point, they should still have the info. Inters, he's left alone, sure, but he saw one towards tunnel, or at least his teammate did, and there's been a bit of noise that was made outside as well, so he knows where they're coming from. He gets the first and a second, and LYNGBY Vikings' dreams there of being able to actually come out with a 6th round half, unfortunately, have been shattered. It's not the end of the world. They can definitely still come back into this, but again, as we've said many times, when you only have 5 rounds, unfortunately, you really do rely on getting that pistol. Without it, the game usually just runs away too much from you.
Exactly. So it's the pistol, it's the gun round. It's really the first few rounds to kind of be picked up here by LYNGBY Vikings if they want to have a chance of turning it the other way. And speaking of turning it the other way, the odds just keep on going the one way, as GAMBIT youngsters now at 1.04 against the 8.4 of course, LYNGBY Vikings. That's quite the difference, quite the margin there to be set. And here we go. It is time to see if LYNGBY Vikings are able to break the defense and rush over to the opponent's playground and kind of mess up things a bit. Supra. Classic angle to be held, and he's got info coming in from Inters, as he's going to be able to hear the majority of the players come out. Oh, Supra, the lineup. He takes a moment, takes down 2, and with already Nafani close range, they won't expect the player at car, surely not. Even if they do, it does not matter much. It's simple as that.
Yeah, we're going to replay here. Crisp shots coming in eventually. Obviously, he composed himself while he was blinded, and yeah, just a bit of a dominating round, unfortunately, coming in from GAMBIT. I say unfortunately because if we wanted to see a competitive matchup, then that is pretty quickly becoming less and less likely. We said they really did need the pistol. And this is a very interesting purchase up into the second round. I mean, not the fact that they've gone for the purchase, the fact that some of them have, and some of them haven't. And even then, Typos, you can see, he spent a pretty decent amount, as did Rald, so ideally they need some kills to be able to bump up the buy in the following round. And Typo's at least finding one already, and then giving the Galil over to Rald. So if he can get one at least with the Galil, then they'll be good for their own investment in the following round on at least 4 of the players. But you can't count them out of this one even, obviously having a pretty good advantage finding those 2 kills over towards Long.
Hey.
There is some returns from Nafany and Inters, but again, just instantly getting dropped. Now Supra's left all alone. It looks like kind of the one rifle and a few pistols buy is actually going to be successful.
I gotta admit, this is pretty damn good. I mean, for some weird reason, for somehow it works out just like the first half, right? GAMBIT youngsters win the opening pistol only to lose it all against the force buy. And, you know, to make matters worse, it's not even the force buy here. Supra, they're trying to fake into making him think it's a B hit, but Supra, he's a bit smarter than that, than to reveal himself where he is, though now this could prompt LYNGBY Vikings to go for the B take actually behind all of this, as Bird from Sky literally ran across the map onto B, cleared out the angle, and now has basically mid and effectively one half of the map in his hands. Albeit, Supra could have still lurked through lower, you know, so there's definitely options of that. But 17 seconds now should be a dead giveaway. Supra that this is most likely a B hit. Does he check middle? Well, he's kind of keeping an eye on it, but he's not going to be keeping good enough of an eye. Yeah, close call, but not going to happen.
Yeah, I doubt it would have went any further, because there was obviously a peek coming in from window already, but that was an awkward spray on the Galil. I wouldn't have done better myself. I don't use the weapon very often, and maybe that was the same reason for Bird from Sky. He needs to warm up that Galil spray a little bit, especially considering he is now keeping it on over into this round. But as we can see, a buy again. Yeah, we have the buy coming in. Okay, we'll see how this is going to go for them. I honestly wouldn't have minded maybe an eco coming in, but they've gone for what they can. They have the pistols, they have a scout over on Axile, of course, and we'll see what they find. Sure, we'll at least keep in the money, so that confirms going into the actual gun round in a couple, they will at least get the op out. And Axile, he got the wall bang. That was just a random spam, I think, because Nafany had heard the footsteps and because they had already got a peek in from short. They ends up taking a head off, and Nafany with the smoke even retrieves an M4.
I am so split in this round as to how to even take it in, right? With Exile opening up with the scout, Nafany stealing away the M4. It definitely paints a bit of a worrisome picture for LYNGBY Vikings and potentially a return by GAMBIT youngsters for one more. Now, they seem to be gathering towards B and most likely will conclude the round on B. I like this decision. It's going to be a bit risky going through a very tight angle, sure. But they're going to be going for it nonetheless, committing through and through. And surely they check car, of course they do. Though Nafany is good for one. That should be all that GAMBIT really can do in this instance. I mean, retake of B, we both know how hard it is. When you have no utility, when you have no weaponry to work with, your only hope is really to go for exits. And that's about it. GAMBIT youngsters, not exactly the best start to the second half, even though they won the pistol.
Yeah, just hoping at this point someone will overextend and give away a weapon, but I wouldn't even imagine that's going to happen from LYNGBY Vikings. They should be just moving towards tunnels together, although, of course, the doors, they can give a little bit of vision for a limited time there as they cross over, and good damage was actually done right there by Shiro, dinking down Cabby to 4. But he wasn't able to get the finish, unfortunately, and as you can see, plenty of time to escape that bomb radius, so yeah, three living over for GAMBIT youngsters. Obviously gives them the chance here to try and have an impactful round once again. They got 2 kills there, so they were at least able to do some decent damage, force a little bit of reinvestment here and ensure that money won't be built up. So if they can do the same in this round, then going into their opening actual gun round, they would have an opportunity to break that money completely for LYNGBY Vikings. So we'll see how it goes for them. The scout, of course, still in place, and pistols, and even a flash that could perhaps assist them if they want to take a bit more of an aggressive peek. Although I think the aggressive peeks that they had in mind were for, again, that scout to challenge around mid. And as you see, Axel getting tagged up, and the only player with Kevlar as well getting tagged up quite low.
Cuts it a little bit close indeed. Exile with his scout might be still effective if able to hit a few headshots, but in this case we should be seeing LYNGBY Vikings grouping up again and just hitting the site together, making sure that they have refrags available. That's it. That's the core premise here that LYNGBY Vikings need to stick to if they wish to win the round, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing through long, abusing the fact it's a long-range engagement and favoring the AKs heavily. Though Exile might have something to say about this just yet. Is there a flash to support this peak? Surely there is. Smoke's being deployed. Here comes a Molotov towards Scar. A flash as well over. Gonna attack the first, so it's a start. But that's about it. As I said, that's all there really can be. Another headshot, actually. Not bad at all. Damage is being dealt, but not enough.
Oh, Ralds is in trouble here.
Yeah,
maybe not.
Okay, you know, Supra doesn't want to risk it, sure. I mean, not sure what he's...
They definitely could have combined the peaks a lot better right there to ensure that they at least had a chance at the trade.
Exactly, yeah. It would have been much better if they had gone in together, but... What I liked, like I said, by LYNGBY Vikings is the fact that they just group up and they don't complicate life for themselves, unlike GAMBIT youngsters who like to be a bit more cheeky in that regard. 11-8 though, and we do have ourselves a little bit of a turnaround here. LYNGBY Vikings certainly not done just yet. And they might have looked weak on the half when it was 11-5, but they're all the way back, or at least starting to draw it all the way back.
Yeah, definitely closing in the gap, and if they can keep it up by picking up this gun round here and now, then I think it really will become a realistic comeback at that point. And Axel, he kicks things off actually up on short, finds 3 of them, and just shuts this down completely. That's the bomb even now that he's been able to take control of. The plan here for LYNGBY Vikings was a quick A split with the other 2 heading up through long, so they're left alone now, with it being pretty much impossible to get anywhere near that bomb to retrieve it. Typos at least has 1 player pinned into the corner. I was going to say it shouldn't be too useful considering Inters was also holding the angle, but just hit the first headshot and nearly had a chance there on towards Axile, but it stopped in the end. Oh, GAMBIT youngsters, that's one way to get back onto the board, to come out swinging once again and to take an incredibly convincing round. But it was Axile that they really did rely on there. And he was pushed forward pretty much on his own, I believe, as well. So risky plays, but it worked.
It worked. I mean, it somehow works, and that's the beauty about GAMBIT. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does, but, you know, they're going to be taking those risks because they know that the chances of them succeeding with is quite high. In any case, we're going to see GAMBIT youngsters taking a bit of a different approach, taking long control and actively trying to control it this time around. And they will contend for that as much as they can. Their plan here is to play it safe towards middle, not even having too much of presence or of the like. Oh, Inters, yeah, realizing perhaps it'd be better to get onto site. And this presents a very formidable line of defense that it's hard to break. And obviously there are 2 weak spots, and that would be both Exile and Inters. If they get caught, if they get killed, all of a sudden A side is wide open for the taking even. Exile?
This is weird. Taking a strange approach to playing the angle.
Yeah, I was about to say, usually you want to go into counter, like anti-setup.
Oh, he saw the barrel.
Anti-flash setup.
Oh, he manages to get that one. Thankfully,
boy.
Bird from Sky had just taken out a flash. That is a horrible timing as the peak came in, and just as it comes in again, Twix ended up actually moving off of the angle, so they crossed the pit for safety, and it looks like GAMBIT youngsters have got themselves a pretty firm hold on this round at the moment. Both of the remaining T's even been split up from each other with only 30 seconds to try and get onto that A-bomb site. It's looking pretty much impossible. It's given a bit of an opening.
Maybe.
Never mind, I didn't realize that was the bomb on long. I was thinking maybe the flash could give them room to cross over.
Actually, it would have been possible, yeah, if Exile would have been taken out and then short control still not completely gone, then maybe they can isolate Shiro, right? But the problem is, as you said, the bomb dropped, and then obviously losing long control, that pretty much signals it that LYNGBY Vikings are out of control. And well, there will be a timeout call. LYNGBY Vikings, the ones to do so, starting to think on what can be done and how can they approach this last few potential rounds that they might have at their disposal. First of all, it's going to have to be an eco in this case. So they don't really have a choice. It's gonna have to be pistols and Kevlar. I'm not sure if they really wanna invest too much into anything besides maybe a deagle or two. And I say that, and they go for an investment, a full one. I mean, I'm not opposed to that, don't get me wrong, but then again, I have to bring up a point you brought up earlier. Maybe waiting a moment or two to get an actual good buy on the board and try and contend against whatever GAMBIT youngsters throw at you, instead of just literally going for whatever you can afford. And not that it might not succeed, but it is risky. A loss here could be so much worse for LYNGBY Vikings, although they're going to be pushing towards B. Fair enough. And they will succeed in picking up 2 frags, one of them being the Fanny and the other Supra. Already tagging Shiro as well in exile. I mean, sure, the force buy then works. The lucky stars align yet again, and GAMBIT youngsters seemingly having no answer to this surprise party.
Yeah, they're running away. Understandably, they need to. It is it's a position where they have still a relatively comfortable lead, and one where they know, obviously, if they save over these weapons, they will not struggle at all to ensure they have all their weapons back in this following round. To try and return quickly, especially with 5 players right now actually living for LYNGBY Vikings, they're going to be able to start building up a bit of money that they really did need. Twinks was even on a glass cannon Galil coming into this round, whatever you call it. It's not really a cannon. Glass water gun, maybe?
Glass water gun, yeah, I guess. That's one way to put it as well. Just the squirt gun. It's like, well, you know, if you wanna ruin somebody's day, you use that. And ruin as in, you know, just make him feel angry. It's like BB gun. It's just shoot a few pellets at him. It's like, you know, it's gonna hurt a little bit, but that's about it. Well, as much as we're loving to blast Twinks, it is going to be a 9-13 scoreline with GAMBIT youngsters having to rebuy. Their economy starting to take a bit of a swing at the down route as well. And let's see if they make the same mistake again with allowing the solo peaks to go unpunished.
Yeah, they need to be a little bit more cautious in this one on the GAMBIT youngsters side. They can't afford to lose that B site, of course, completely uncontested. Even if they're not getting the frags, they need to be living a little bit longer to allow rotations. Early though in this round, at least, GAMBIT youngsters able to get Axile across to the piss, so obviously that lets them focus back a little bit elsewhere. They can rotate one down towards mid if they want to. Although with so much pressure on short here in the beginning, they decide not to. And of course, it is just a drop into the spawn because most of the T side are over in towards tunnels. They're setting up this B split, and this is going to be very difficult for them to try and hold off. Again, considering now the rotations are going to be so far behind. Opening kill, though, it does go the way of Supra. They're struggling to get the returns at all here on the T side. They will eventually be able to find one, but just playing around the box, Supra is wasting a ridiculous amount of time right now. I don't know how this man is living so long. Look at the damage he was able to do as well.
And he bought so much time, as you said, the rotations having enough to get into site itself, or towards the site itself now. A 2v3 is very difficult with the HP that LYNGBY Vikings have left, although they might get a little bit lucky and maybe hit a few hit shots. Shiro and Intas both tagged, though Exile, he's gonna have something to say about that just yet. Shiro down to 6, as Intas is 53. Bird from Sky, aka the Bird, well, the Bird person, getting shut out. In the end, GAMBIT youngsters successfully retaking, and that is all thanks to Supra, man. His double, plus the damage he dealt on the 2 remaining players, more than enough to basically secure the round for themselves. GAMBIT youngsters saved by the bell of Supra there. Definitely pulled apart a little bit inch by inch, as LYNGBY Vikings now have to go into one of the last buys effectively. Without a bomb plant moving forward, they're in dire trouble.
Oh yeah, no, this is it. They need this round to fight back in, otherwise it is going to be an even worse investment in the following round to try and keep themselves alive. And this time the quicker B play, it doesn't go quite as well. Nafany is able to not only get the molly down in time, but also claim a kill with his rifle as well as the one with the Molotov, which leaves them at least with a man advantage working into the retake. That could have been a very impactful nade. He had the right idea right there, and Twinks was 33 health, but sadly it bounces back. But they still got the man advantage. They'll be setting themselves up now to try and move forward. The molly will delay a little bit, as does the smoke towards the door. And there is another couple smokes in play, so this could still certainly be a fairly difficult retake now for them to actually move forward. They're going to need to get a flash in over perhaps to give them the room to move forward, and that is the goal, as you can see. That looked like it should have been a kill for Cabby, but he was denied, flicked on by Naf, and he enters. In the meantime, going to be the one who ends it, and there it is, 15 from GAMBIT Youngsters. They have hit map point, and it's going to be 6 chances for them to close it out. Obviously, the first of those as well is going to be up against a relatively weak buy.
That one shot from Cabby could have been the game changer. If he had hit him, or hit its head, or his head, that would have been the end. That would have been the round gone, because he'd be able to hold the doors, and by the time the rest of the team gets across, either he would have been able to maybe frag a few more, or buy a second longer for the rest of his teammates. In any case, 15-9, as you said, it's a rebuy for LYNGBY Vikings for whatever they can muster up, but this is not exactly a very, very strong buy they can work around. And we do see Nafani playing it safe towards B. We've seen this setup from GAMBIT Youngsters pretty much continuously, that they put themselves into a 3-2 split, having almost no mid control, and it works out. It works out pretty well. I mean, so far it's looking good. It's looking blended given the circumstances, and well, LYNGBY Vikings, they're going to be attempting the A take through short. Let's see how far they can actually go. And see T-Shiro and the lying up. Yeah,
that was just nasty. Shiro, he ends it the way he pretty much started it. I believe he was the one to kick off the pistol round with a 4K as well. So
hey,
great performance.